UFL Week 6 has come to pass, and some teams are already looking towards next season. One team has already clinched a playoff spot, and this is Power Rankings. At number 8 is the Arlington Renegades. They blow another fourth quarter lead, this time to Michigan. It is their third so far this season. We are 6 weeks in. So half of the games they should have won this season. Instead, they're 0-6. Perez is one of the few bright spots of this team. It's not a team with a lot of bright spots, and most of the times when they do get a new bright spot, it's not for long. Day Hunter played incredibly well the other day. Like, he ran really well, and then he got injured during a celebration after scoring a touchdown. It's a rough world for Arlington. They're looking towards next season already, and at this point, I say you should need to let Lindsey Scott get some more proper game reps. Have him start a game or two down the stretch. It's a very, very rough season for the defending XFL champions. Number 7 is Houston. Everything looked rough against St. Louis. There was held scoreless through 3 quarters. The offense can't get anything going with Reed Sinnett. I do think the injury to Kirk Merritt is really playing the biggest impact of this team. I feel like he was one of the few star players that they had. With him being injured, again, they're looking really rough. And again, just nothing was really working. It's weird, but they're a team that needs to start looking towards next season with what I believe will be a really good QB class for the UFL. I think a lot of the undrafted free agent quarterbacks are going to come into the UFL and light it up. Number 6 is Memphis. Hey, glad the first time they played Birmingham, they got absolutely killed. This time, they only got killed. Wasn't really an absolutely killed. They played better in this meeting, although they still clearly are the worst team between them and Birmingham. Troy Williams came in to the game during the fourth quarter. He looked well. He played well. That's where they scored one of their garbage time touchdowns. They finally got past 20 points this season. We're again 6 weeks in, and finally every team has at least one game scoring 20 plus. They're a rough team. Their offense can't get anything going most of the time. Their defense suffers because of it, and they typically have a pretty solid defense. But yeah, like they should have a lot of stuff to work towards. Number 5 is DC. The defense played a lot better compared to the previous week against St. Louis. The offense was still rough. Jordan Ta'amu still having a little bit of a turnover issue. To be fair, though, this was a pretty ugly game for both sides. For the most part, special teams played really well for DC. But they had that missed kick early on in the game. But besides that, the return game was working really well. Their coverage game was working well. The kicker made up for it. He made 2 big-time kicks. I like where DC's at. Maybe not for this season, but definitely have a lot to build off of for next season. Although I don't know how much longer you can give Jordan Ta'amu to prove himself this season for next season. He's looked rough this entire season. It might be time to move on. We will see. Number 4 is San Antonio. Really rough loss. And the injury to Chase Gabers is becoming more and more prevalent each week. Their defense can only do so much for you. They gave their offense plenty of extra possessions off of turnovers. They just couldn't do much out of it. John Lovett played and ran really well for San Antonio, but it just wasn't enough. And at the end of the day, the special teams blunders, especially the big kick return late in the fourth quarter. That hurt San Antonio. They moved down, I believe, only a spot. Number 3 is Michigan. They played really well. The defense remains a little bit of a question, but the offense came up clutch when it needed to in the fourth. The special teams are still playing great. Jake Bates does it again. Not only from 60 plus, but another game-winning field goal for him. He has ice in his veins, bounced back from a rough week the previous week against Memphis. I like where he's at. And again, the offense was slow for the most part, but they came back and bounced back and came up big in the fourth. Not much else you really want to ask of them to do. Number 2 is St. Louis. The defense played incredibly well. The offense played well. Was a little slow, but again, made it the big time play when they needed to. You can't start off slow next week like they did this week. Next week's matchup between them and Birmingham is a must watch. So I'm really looking forward to that. But again, there's not much else to really add for St. Louis. They've been a very consistent team since week 2. It's fun to watch some consistency. And number 1, still the only undefeated team, still the only team to have clinched a playoff spot, the Birmingham Stallions. Martinez got the start once again last week. It's seeming like he's going to be the starter going forward, and I love it. When he is in there, Birmingham is nearly impossible to beat. He ran for like nearly 150 yards. He passed for nearly like 350. Birmingham's unstoppable. When Martinez gets the start and he's in there playing, the defense gave up a garbage time touchdown, but besides that, they were lights out that entire game. The defensive line is still a threat, led by Taco Charlton. They're the team to beat. They're my favorite. I think probably the betting odds favorite to win it all this year. Skip Holtz has those people humming. It's gonna be interesting to see if they can spoil AJ McCarron's homecoming game for Alabama, but we'll have to wait and see. With all that being said, let me know your power rankings down below. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one.